global VC, top tier VC have a fantastic resource and exposure for sure. We learn a lot from Klein Perkins. 10 years I've been there. But China has been changed a lot in past 10 years. Since 2011, we saw many innovations, business model innovations happens in China, which never happens in Western country. For example, like Changba, mobile karaoke app. It never happens in Western countries, so it's so difficult to make a quick decision for a global VC. And also, more and more competition innovation happens in China as well. For example, like the Uber kind of business model in China, they compete using different incentives to capture the user because they want to expand the payment business for Ali or WeChat. So this kind of competition model is so fierce. When you're in US, you saw different competition model. So this kind of a new pattern, asking the VC make a very fast reaction to the market, and which requires the team know local market very well. So I think this is one of the reasons. The second reason is from China, there's many entrepreneurs used to be returnees, but now majority of the entrepreneurs are from local. And they really think that communication with the institution, more efficient communication is very important for them because they need a very, very quick decision as well. So basically, based on all this, I think that build a firm, have local decision team, really everybody know local entrepreneurs and business model and environment well, will be the only way to win in VC market in China. First of all, we've been with global top VC as their China team for 10 years. We've been working together for a long time. It's not like a new assembled team. A team member all from our former team. So we've been working together for a long time. We know each other well. And we've been trained well with the global platform. We learned a lot. And also, we all from local China, Chinese entrepreneur background or local startups. So everybody know Chinese environment, know startups, know the current trend very well. That's the first thing differentiates us from most of our peers. The second is that we're using a very different approach to make investments. VC, basically most of VC using individual working mode. So you alone working on yourself for the investment target you have interests. But for our team, we use an approach we call group hunting, which means every month we working together to select next sector, next subsector we want to deep dive. Once we decide this is the sector really we think will be most promising and will booming soon, every team member will spend at least half of their time, mandatory, working together to study the sector, looking for entrepreneurs and startups from this sector. So within 2-3 weeks, we have a thorough understanding of these sectors, and every team member have a understanding as well. So when we make decision compared to most of the VC team working on that, when they went to IC, most of the people don't understand that sector well. We using this approach so everybody have a thorough understanding. So when we make decision, should we make investments or which one we should invest, we can easily make a decision have higher success rate. First of all, for stage size, RMB fund investments, our RMB fund investments target will be more like a growth stage, but our US dollar fund always focusing on early stage. In past 10 years, our statistics shows that 75% of our investments are on A round lead position. Almost every single investment we have both seats. But for RMB fund investments, I think most of the investment will be between like B to D round, and they're looking for company have different character. And also RMB fund, some of the entrepreneurs and the business model by nature, they are targeting China IPO. They never think about IPO in overseas market. And for certain sectors, Chinese government have regulation. You cannot accept US dollar or other currency investments. So for those target, it's naturally for RMB fund. So I don't think there will be a lot of conflict or interest. And also for any company can accept RMB and US dollar investment together, we will do like pro rata investments to make sure that it's fairly allocated to funds. I think there's two major trends we want to focus. First of all, we saw that there's a huge change, turning point from last year that mobile app user, the consumption power really shifting from old generation to young generation, which means a lot of mobile internet company in past years, because most of the users don't want to pay, they want free stuff. So they cannot make profit, they cannot grow fast. But now we saw many cases with a smaller number of users, the company will be very profitable and their revenue really jumping very high since last year. A good example is early stage mobile education app. It's very profitable now. So this is a sector, this is a trend we want to pursue. Any sector will benefit from this consumption power shifting. It's generation change we want to look at. The second is in past 10 years, in China startup, most of them, success is based on behavior. They understand user behavior. It's not about technology. But these 2 years, we saw many cases that because of the technology innovation happens in China, we believe that in the next 5 years, technology innovation, hardcore technology, AI and robotic will play a very important role. So we already recruited two new team members who all have very intensive hardcore technology background and investment experience. We want to improve that part to be a future trend. If you're asking this like 4 or 5 years ago, most entrepreneurs don't have interest because even big guy like Tencent, they don't pay fair amount of money to acquire, right? But in past 3 or 4 years, we saw many acquisitions. The valuation is so high. I think entrepreneurs now in China is more like Silicon Valley entrepreneur. They of course want their startup to go IPO, but they don't reject acquisition anymore, as long as the company can continue doing well within the new owner, and also they can have a lot of new opportunity to do new stuff.